Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 15 of season 1 of the You'll Have That podcast. Boy, is this one an interesting one. We have a nice slew of topics today, with one really big one with the Escape from Tarkov drama that's been happening. We're definitely going to talk about that. Here's my co host, Twiz. Oh, sorry, this side. and
Hello.
we shall begin here with some actually pretty interesting news from Audible. Um, as you can see, the little screen underneath me here. So Audible has turned to J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter books, and they've actually made a contract here, I guess, or there's plans for a contract to voice act all of them. They're gonna make all of them into audiobooks with, as I highlighted here, there's gonna be over 100 performers that'll be into the audiobooks. And I do think they said that they're gonna try to actually bring in a lot of the original cast if they can to create these audiobooks, which would be really cool. There's gonna be, I do believe they said, yeah. So there's gonna be new original sound music and real world sound capture. So that's gonna be pretty cool. If you're into Audibles, audiobooks, stuff like that. It looks like that there's going to actually be sounds that you'll hear, maybe like if there's a Avada Kedavra, maybe you'll actually hear like the zap or something in the background. So that would be really, really cool. Um, in addition to having the new Harry Potter series hopefully coming out soon, that they're going to be doing. So this is also interesting to kind of build up more hype for that even. So yeah, I think it'd be really cool. Some interesting statistic. Apparently, the original Harry Potter audiobooks were published in 1999, and they've occurred a total of 1.4 billion global listening hours on Audible. That's crazy, isn't that?
Yeah, it's crazy, but definitely believable. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
Harry Potter was huge when it came out, and it's still huge to this day.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's
I think for me and you, that's kind of one of our childhood, uh, series, if you will, is Harry Potter.
yeah,
Harry
yeah,
Potter, Lord of the Rings, Hobbit. Those are some classics.
absolutely. I mean, to this day, I still enjoy watching the Harry Potter movies and stuff. I do the little Harry Potter trivia quizzes online sometimes whenever I see them pop up and stuff like that. I mean, it's just a fun thing to do. So yeah, I'm kind of excited for the audiobooks. Most definitely be
Oh yeah,
something good to go to sleep to.
it would be, and maybe if you're like on a road trip or something, it'd be cool to have that in the background. Just to see what the books are about. I mean, the movies are, as far as I know, pretty close to the books. Um,
I mean, I
so
read all the books already, so yeah. I mean, they're pretty close. There's some things that they took out, one or two minor changes, but other than that, it's pretty on par with the books, I'd say.
yeah, but yeah, it's interesting. I mean, this is kind of out of nowhere because I don't remember really hearing about Audible being in the limelight per se for a while. So it's interesting that all of a sudden they're doing this now. I would like to point out that it says right here, even in this this is from the Guardian, by the way. It says Audible is currently the dominant player in the audiobook market, although last year Spotify became a competitor. So it's interesting that Spotify is actually, in addition to being, with podcasts and stuff like that, Spotify here is a direct competitor to Audible. When Audible's been in the game for so long, how do you think that's going to turn out? Are we
Well,
gonna?
now on that, I think that Spotify will wind up dominating the market because pretty much everybody has a Spotify account, and the way they do their audiobooks is a lot like the podcast,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So as long as you have your Spotify subscription, you have access to all of the audiobooks, all of the podcasts, all of the music that's on there. Whereas Audible, right, you can either go with a monthly subscription, and is what that monthly subscription grants you is just a few audiobooks, free audiobooks per month. And then you have to purchase the rest of them, or vice versa. you don't have to have a subscription, a monthly subscription, but you get none free and you have to pay for each audiobook that you listen to. Whereas
Ah, okay.
Spotify, if you're already paying for Spotify for music and stuff and podcasts, and now they're putting audiobooks up, you have access with that subscription to all of the audiobooks,
Well,
all of the
Spotify's free
podcasts.
as well. There's a free tier.
There's a free tier, yeah, but are we sure that they're offering the audiobooks with the free
I'm not
tier?
I'm not entirely sure. I haven't really went into the whole audiobook thing
Which,
in Spotify, but
to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if they are offering that because they are making a lot of ad revenue.
exactly. Yeah, with their
Um,
whole like music stuff. I mean, um, let's kind of deviate a little bit here in the sense of music where back in the day you used to have piracy, a lot of piracy with music and stuff like
mhm.
that. A lot of people were thinking that, there's always going to be pirating and pirating is an issue that's incurable. But here we saw Spotify kind of disprove that in the sense that pirating really arose because of the inconveniences and how much money it costs to buy music. I mean, back in the day when LimeWire was a thing, right? You had CDs where were the primary thing, right? You used to
Well,
buy the
yeah,
CD.
you had CDs for a single was like at least $5, if not 10.
Yeah,
For
and
the
it
whole
was
album, was anywhere between 20 to 25.
yeah.
You would get like what 10 to 12 tracks on an entire album, which most artists that puts out an entire album, most of the music that's on that one CD is
Hmm.
utter garbage other than one or two songs, right?
Right.
So that's what opened up the piracy market, in my opinion, is that you're paying for the majority of the music that you're purchasing. You're paying for stuff that you're not really going to listen to. There were a few albums that came out from certain artists that, yeah, excuse me, that, yeah, you would listen to pretty much every single track because
Hmm.
they were good albums, but
Yeah.
mostly they were like debut albums and stuff. I remember like 50 Cent's first album is really good. Um there
But
was
yeah,
a
yeah, you bring up a good point in the sense that it's only one or two songs out of the whole thing and stuff like that. And I think this is what arose to pirating because it's such an inconvenience. You're wasting so much money. But Spotify solved the issue completely entirely because you have exactly the song that you want, right? You can select whatever song, make your own playlist, do this and that, and it's even for free with ads. And the ads aren't
right.
like you get like half an hour of listening and then you get an ad or two or three, which is fine.
Right.
I'm okay with that. I would be perfectly fine. If you're going to work out, you get 30 minutes of nonstop music. You get a 10-minute, 5-minute break with ads, and then you're back at it. And then obviously,
It's not even that long. It's not
no,
even 5
I
or
know
10 minutes.
it's
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 like
less
1
than
or
that.
2 minutes.
Yeah. And then you're back to it. And if you want to pay the subscription, I think is it $8 a month or what is it now? I don't
Uh
here actually since the okay, so we'll do Spotify. All right. Oh, it's actually $6 a month, so it's even cheaper than I thought. Um. Oh, okay. So for individual, it's
it's
12.
10.99.
It's 11 a month, but for students, is 6 a month. Um. So
So yeah, me and you are on the duo plan.
gotcha. And
So
I could go student if I wanted to. So yeah.
for two accounts, you're paying $15.
And that's really
And
honestly completely worth it because you get so much in return. Um.
well, so here's the thing, right?
Mhm.
Even with the free version, you're getting less ads than the radio. You're able to make
YouTube.
your own play.
YouTube. You get less ads than YouTube even.
Right. You get you get to make your own playlists. You know,
Share
it
them.
everything's pretty
Uh,
much on demand. You're not having to tune into a radio station and listen to what a particular DJ is playing,
mhm.
right? So that's a real big thing. And then if you bump it up to Spotify Premium, then you get access to all of that with no ads.
Yeah.
I've personally paid for Spotify Premium since really the launch of Spotify. I think it was within the first 2 or 3 months that Spotify came out. I was dabbling with iHeartRadio, and the only thing I didn't like about iHeartRadio was its layout. To be honest, Spotify was a little more intuitive and aesthetically more pleasing. So
I think Spotify
that's
was a
the
lot more
direction I
in
went.
touch with the youth sort of thing.
Hmm. So yeah, that's the direction I went. But
To
you know,
circle back around to where I was going with that is, they essentially solved the whole inconvenience problem of why pirating came up in the music industry. And
hmm,
pirating right now in music is unheard of. Like, when's the last time you heard of someone pirating a song? I haven't in over 10 years. I have not heard anything about
yeah,
that.
it's been quite a while, most definitely. Now and I grew up in the era of
LimeWire and all that. Yeah,
LimeWire
yeah, yeah.
and burning CDs and all of that stuff. So
Having your iPod and all that, and borrowing someone's CD, putting it on there. Yeah.
yeah, well, that too, but mainly like my high school years, everybody still had the thing on the sun visor and a bunch of burned
Oh
CDs.
yeah, yeah.
You really didn't find too many CDs in people's collections that were off the
Authentic.
shelf.
Yeah.
I think the one of the best ones was a buddy of mine. They had bought, it was basically printer paper but with a sticker, and it was
Oh
in the
yeah.
form of a CD. So
Yep.
he would snatch the cover art,
Yeah. And just print
print
it.
it out, and then stick it onto the CD. And that was about as close as you got in any of my friend circles cars
Having the official.
to a legit
Yeah.
CD. Everybody else's had that marker on it,
Black
whatever
Sharpie.
mix, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know. So yeah,
But yeah, as I was alluding to earlier, Spotify. I also agree with you. Actually, I think Spotify's I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know, but I think Spotify is definitely going to be on top of this. Um, Audible has been the industry standard for books, though, so it is kind of interesting to see Spotify come up to the whole, that competitor sort of.
but the problem with
You know,
Audible is
it's so niche.
you don't hear many people saying, oh, well, I have Audible. You
Exactly,
know,
exactly.
but you hear
Everyone has
everybody
Spotify.
say they have Spotify.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That is quite interesting. And who knows? Maybe they'll partner up. I mean, maybe you'll have like a little Audible section in Spotify. Who knows?
Please don't, because that's just gonna
Raise the premium.
raise Spotify premium prices.
Which really, if you actually think about it, that's an interesting kind of side thought in the sense that Spotify doesn't have any non-first party stuff. They have the songs obviously aren't theirs, right? But they don't have in-app services that are not theirs. It's all Spotify owned. Did you ever
Right,
notice
and
that?
I have, and I want them to keep it that way too, because at this point, Spotify is the industry standard.
Standard, yeah.
Um, Old artists, along with new artists, where's their music dropping? Spotify,
I
right?
mean, I
The
know Taylor Swift, I think, had a little issue with Spotify and the licensing for one album that she didn't release on Spotify, and it tanked. I mean, it definitely was not performing very well. So yeah, I think you're
Don't get me wrong, I
absolutely
like
correct.
Taylor Swift, but that was her problem. She shouldn't have, or maybe her management team's
Yeah.
problem. They should have thought better, and I'm sure that they have
After
going
that,
forward from that.
yep.
But yeah, like it at this point, it's the industry standard. Everybody's releasing their music on Spotify. They release their music videos predominantly on YouTube, which nowadays music videos really aren't
Yeah, they're not all
that
that,
big of a
right?
thing.
Yeah.
I think the cost does not justify the means whatsoever,
That is a
for
good
music
point
videos.
because I mean, some of these videos, the cost of them are like a full-fledged, little mini movie almost, right?
Right, right. Now, if you're as big as like Taylor Swift or Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, Drake, Lil Wayne, people like that, then yeah, I can see you dropping dropping an official music video on YouTube because it's definitely going to get the views.
Hmm.
I remember whenever WAP dropped it, you know, within
What a great
within
example.
right within like 4 or 5 hours, it had over 1 million
So I'm
views.
gonna
So
go to a much more PG version. Remember when Gangnam Style dropped? Remember that?
yeah,
It broke
absolutely.
the internet. That was
Hmm.
pretty crazy.
So yeah, like if you're a big artist and you're going to get the views, then sure, the cost probably justifies the means. But if you're an up and coming
Oh god, no.
artist,
It's not
um,
worth it.
and you're looking at spending a lot of money on the production of a music video, you should probably think twice. Now, that's not to say, if you've got a good camera and you've got someone that knows how to use it and get some good B-roll shots, it's not going to cost you a lot of money.
Hmm.
Then sure, but it is what it is. Um,
Definitely, and not to mention, like, here's a very specific example. If anyone listens to them, Blackpink, their production on their videos is top notch, and I feel like each one of those videos probably costs over $2 million to produce, and that's going on the low end. Um, I don't know if you've seen
mm,
any of them, Twiz, but their
I, I've
productions are extremely intricate.
I've seen a few of them. Yeah, their productions are intricate, but at the same time, you also have to think about it like this: other countries normally don't charge as much for certain things, and especially like Asian countries and stuff like that. As far as like film production and stuff, that's normally on the cheaper end compared to America. I'm not saying that it's dirt cheap or anything. I'm just saying compared to America, it's a little on the cheaper end. And a lot of those videos, correct me if I'm wrong, are look like they're done in like a studio with a backdrop, right?
Yeah, there are backdrops, but they also make a ton of different props. One of them had a whole entire tank that was like bedazzled or something like that, I think.
Hmm.
So it's definitely not like, oh, here's a
And
green
we're
screen, and
sure that that wasn't CGI'd,
no, because she was
bedazzled tank.
physically laying on it, like she was interacting with it and laying on
Well,
it.
I mean, in Game of Thrones, Daenerys Targaryen was physically laying on a dragon, but
Yeah, but I mean, you can tell a dragon's CGI. It's not that difficult. I
mm,
do think they record a lot of their videos not only in Asia though, it's also in the US, so it still would probably cost a lot of money for sure.
probably, but they
Um,
they have a they have a huge following, so
that's
they're gonna
also
get
true. I
the
mean, it just
they're gonna
like
get the clicks and views.
yeah, it just kind of goes into what you said. If you're a big artist, that's probably not a huge issue. But if you're definitely new and upcoming, um, probably not worth the money investment. I think a lot of newer artists are just doing the whole lyric video thing, which is it's fine. That's okay, because I do think for you to submit your song to Spotify and stuff like that, you do have to. Is it? I don't know if you have to pay royalties or they take a chunk out of when people listen to your song. I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. But I don't. It's not free. I know that much. Definitely not free to upload your song to
Uh,
Spotify.
they probably take a little bit of the money that you get off of your listens.
Listens, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Because I mean, ultimately they have to host it, and they're not gonna host that for free, right? Um,
you never know. I mean, YouTube's hosting little small channels like us for free.
that's a good point actually, but I mean, Alphabet, which is Google's parent company, is I would say it's a lot bigger than Spotify, probably a huge bit bigger. So,
Well,
yeah.
let's.
But while you look that up, you know, just it is nice to hear that Audible's trying to do something to kind of shake up things, get it back on mainstream, and I think overall this is kind of a win for all the listeners. If you're an Audible subscriber already, um, this is something to look forward to.
So, Google owns Spotify
Oh, okay, yeah, they bought Spotify. I forgot about that. You're
in
right.
2019 for 43.4 billion.
Yeah, which is nothing. Alphabet's worth over $1 trillion, I think. So yeah,
Right.
definitely. Oopsie daisy there. I forgot about that. But yeah, you know, yeah, it's there you go. So like you're not exactly competing with YouTube and Spotify, and with Google supplying the servers, Spotify can essentially have infinite songs for free. Which is probably why they still have a free tier.
Hmm.
But alas, next point. So Google, actually, now that you brought up Google, let's talk about Google. So Google has recently, this is on CNN's website, as you can see. Google has terminated 50 workers that it's done an internal investigation on that were disrupting um, their work essentially, for protesting the whole apartheid thing, apartheid claims and all that. Um, Now I know this is a sticky topic, and we're gonna try to avoid the political aspect of it. But in terms of Google firing them, me personally, I'm okay with it because these are the specific people they've investigated are ones that were essentially not working and getting paid to work. So it's
Oh, absolutely. If you're getting paid to do a job and you're not doing the job and you're doing something else, particularly protesting because the company that you are getting paid by to pay your bills, then yes, your bills should be affected. And
yeah,
your ability to pay your bills should be affected.
right. And Asmongold kind of mentioned something along the lines of like, I don't think Google would have had any issue if they were to protest off of their work hours
Right.
when they're not working. But if you're actively being paid to do a job and you're electing to not do said job and disrupt other people's ability to do that job, I mean, if they didn't fire these people, what precedent would that set? Just don't work if you don't want to, that's insanity. So I think Google had to definitely act with this, and they had to act swiftly. Um, and that's exactly
So
what they did.
so here's the thing. All right. 50 people got fired because they weren't doing their job whenever they were supposed to be doing their job. All right.
So
I
actually, it
agree
was
with that.
30 workers last week and 20 additional this week.
Right, because it's an investigation. So
Mhm.
at the moment we're at 50. Let's
Correct.
say it climbs to 100. Regardless, no matter what the number climbs to, they shouldn't have been on the clock not doing what they're being paid for and
Yeah.
instead protesting, right? So Google, as of the fourth quarter of 2023, they had 182,502 full-time employees, right? So out of those 182,000, 182 and a half thousand people,
hmm
um, you can't tell me that only 50 are protesting the whole Israel thing,
No, no,
right?
no. What this is saying is they've done an investigation saying every one of these 50 were personally and definitively
Yes, I know.
involved. Oh,
I'm
okay. All right.
making a point.
Okay.
So, anyways, you can't say that only 50 have a problem with the Israel thing and only 50 protested.
hmm
But is what I'm saying is 50, maybe a few more. We're doing it on the company's time, and that's
And
I think
affecting other workers' ability to work as well.
right, and I think that that's what Google has taken issue with, and that is why they are fired. If it
Yeah.
was on their own time, then I would probably have a different opinion about this because a company does not own a person, and what you do outside of work to an extent should be fair game for whatever you want to do to
Yeah,
an
I just
extent.
think that's a really well said point. Obviously you're also representing the company as an employee, so you're not going to be going off of company hours and like, for example, doing hard illicit drugs and posting it all over Instagram and being like, yeah, this and that, and you're representing the company. Um,
Well,
so
yeah,
so as you said, to an
that's
extent,
kind of
right? But yeah, I mean, your ability, or sorry, you essentially affecting the company. And by the way, this all started because Google had some sort of deal with Israel in terms of advertising, I think, or some services like that. And
and you know what? Uh, and okay, look, this whole let's cancel people and companies and stuff like this because they have business dealings that has nothing to do with a war or anything, whatever their
yeah,
government has going on. All right, and let's protest this company because they have a complete. It would be different if Google was like funding them and sending weapons to them and stuff like that, but they're not, right? They're making ad revenue, which keeps Americans and other people employed across the world, right?
Well, it's
Um,
all about profit. They could care less if it was Palestine, Israel, whatever
right,
it was. That's not what they're focused on.
right. So this whole like cancel culture shit is it's getting out. It is definitely getting out of hand. Now, don't get me wrong. That's not to say that I think that companies should be able to do whatever whenever. We have plenty of times gotten on this podcast and have voiced our opinions of how egregious companies are and how scummy they can be,
Yeah.
and this and that and the third. But at the same time, um, if you want to try to cancel a company like Kellogg's because they say basically they don't give a fuck that food prices have raised, and if you can't afford meat, then you should go eat cereal for dinner. All right, I'm here for it, right? But if you're trying to cancel a company because of a war that another country is involved in, all
Hmm.
because that company has some business dealings for ad revenue with that country, then you've really gotten lost in the sauce, and you need to rethink your stances on some things, and that's my opinion. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much in agreement there. I think, and not to kind of go off track here and do the whole CNN and stuff for that, but the way this is worded on CNN's behalf is a bit disingenuous, in the sense that they are claiming that Google is throwing a tantrum because their workers are showing strength and this and that. Uh, that's fine, if that's how they want to, label that, but me personally, I'm not in that category. I think if you're there to work a job and you are you're obstructing that ability, and you're also affecting other employees' ability to work to do their duties, for a political reason, then you're in the wrong job. Go get a political job. Uh,
right now if you told me, hey, these employees got fired because they were protesting their company because their company hasn't given them an increase in pay whenever it's warranted and stuff like that, I'd be all like, well, fuck that company, we should cancel them.
I believe
But
Activision Blizzard has something like that where a lot of the
right,
employees walked out on that.
right. So there's a fine line there, and once you cross that fine line
Hmm.
of you know what you should be doing on company time, what you shouldn't be doing on company time, it, it's very blurred. You want to get off work and then protest your company for whatever you want to do. That's fine. But don't be sitting there gobbling up money to go protest that company whenever they're I'm pretty sure Google employees get paid pretty well. I'm not
I do
entirely
believe
sure.
they're well compensated. Yes.
You know, a lot of their jobs are cushy. You're not out here in the baking sun or the blistering cold, digging trenches and shit. So, like, anyways, moving on.
Well, I wanted to kind of deviate a little bit in that sense that we have this happening with Google, right? But I just forgot what I was gonna say. I was gonna give another
ADHD
example.
blank moment.
Um. Well, okay. I guess we are moving on because I had something I wanted to say and then I completely forgot about it. Okay. Um. Yeah. Anyways. So another thing in the tech giant industry here. So Intel. Oh, actually, okay. I remember what I was gonna say now. Okay, sorry about that. There we go. We're back. Okay, so I was gonna actually make a comparison here to the so you've heard of, I think in the UK this is more prominent, but those like anti-pollution kind of activists where they're very against like cars with gas guzzlers, diesel cars that consume fossil fuels. Their whole thing about blocking
Did you
roads.
say in the UK?
Yeah, I think this is big in the UK. Yeah.
The UK, I feel like they predominantly drive diesels,
No, yeah, you didn't let me finish. So the people
or at
that
least Europe.
the activists that are against fossil fuels, their whole eco green thing, right?
Hmm.
Um, so there was a big kind of
You're talking about the ones that basically chain themselves together across the
yeah,
street,
exactly,
right?
right, and then it happens in the U.S. too now a little bit. But the U.S. is a different animal, and we'll talk about that in a sec. Um, but basically, it kind of reminds me of that, where in the sense that you blocking people from getting to their normal daily lives. First of all, it's the wrong message. You're sending the wrong message, right? And you're also impacting the wrong people.
All right,
Thus,
so I I agree with you, and not to, I don't mean to cut you off, but like I don't want to lose my train of thought either. But so I agree with you in one way, but in another way, it's like I do have to ask the question, okay, so if they don't do that, what can they do? Right?
well, the UK has a lot, and I do mean a lot, of avenues to make, to push for government change. They have like a campaign signature thing you can do, where if it reaches a certain threshold, they have to bring it up in Parliament.
We have that as
We
well.
do not have that. There's no consumer rights in the US that will, if you bring enough signatures, they'll push for it to go to Congress or something. That does not exist here.
Well, you're talking about a petition.
Exactly. A petition does not guarantee that it will go before House or Congress. That is not how those work. Now, in the UK, they have an actual legal obligation. If it reaches a certain threshold, they will be presented before. Was it Parliament is their thing? I think, right? Parliament, whatever it is.
Hmm.
Um, but anyways, they have a lot more consumer protection than the U.S. does. But besides the point, I think what I want to kind of hone in on is this, just like the Google thing is, you're kind of protesting the wrong thing in the sense of the group you're targeting is the wrong one. You not working at.
So theirs is much like ours, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at 100,000 signatures,
Mm-hmm.
your petition on the UK government and parliament site will be considered for a debate in parliament. Doesn't mean that it has to go there. It'll
Mm-hmm.
just be considered. Same thing with the US government. It's considered. A lot of those petitions never make it to the floor.
Okay. 1 second. Go ahead. Keep
Mhm.
talking.
Oh yeah, I was just saying that like
Can you explain that a little bit further, or?
there's no guarantee that it'll make it to the floor. Like there's been plenty for example, here in the US, there's been plenty and plenty and plenty of petitions that have been signed by people. Um one of the one of the most recent is the whole like our government needs to do something about the inflation of at the very least food. And that had over 10 million signatures, and it still hasn't made its way to our House or Senate floor.
So, I'm on the Parliament website from UK, and it seems like at 10,000 signatures, the UK government and Parliament site gets a response from the government. So at 10,000, you get a response from the government, and 100,000
Mhm.
signatures, the petition
It
on
goes
the
in for
UK government and
consideration.
Parliament will be considered for debate at Parliament.
Considered.
Yes, and then it gives you statistics saying that petitions which reach 100,000 signatures are almost always debated. So
Okay,
completely
well,
unlike the U.S., it's polar opposite. And I say that because I've been following the video game, Make Video Games Great Again or whatever. No. It's Fix Broken Video Games, I think, or something. There's a
make videos great. What the?
Make them great again. Great. No,
Oh
I'm just
shit!
kidding.
They gonna build a wall next and not complete it.
right? Sorry, there's a campaign to actually kind of do some legislation to fix video games and the egregious stuff that publishers are doing. Besides the point, the reason I say that is because the person there's nothing that they could do in the U.S. that was gonna basically have a change because everything's a lot more difficult and we have lobbyists and just there's a lot of hurdles, right? It's a lost cause. But in the UK, they're almost at the threshold to actually get it into Parliament. That's why I was talking about that, and that's why I brought it up.
Gotcha.
But
Understandable.
besides the point, right? Back to when they were blocking the people that are just trying to live their lives, go to work, all that. You're not only are you, I would think, actually making it to where people don't want to support your cause, right? Because I don't know about you, but if someone blocked me from just going living my life because they're against gas guzzlers, the last thing in the world I'm gonna do is support that.
I look. I'm from the South,
Hmm.
particularly the Southeast. Get a bunch of people in the middle of a road, stopping Billy Bob from getting to wherever the hell he's going, whether it's work, home, or anything in between. You are begging to just get ran over, and I don't mean to be sounding, brutal or anything like that. I'm not saying that I would do that myself, but I am saying that, the South, in particular, the Southeast
Hmm.
is a whole different beast. You don't want to bring that West Coast bullshit down there. Um,
Yeah, definitely, and not to mention, there was an incident. I think is it Las Vegas or I don't remember where exactly. I think it's Las Vegas. It's near a reservation.
well, I know. So, do you remember whenever the BLM protests were going on?
Hmm.
So, South Carolina, they were protesting. I believe it was maybe Charleston or something like that. Huge protest, bunch of people blocking the streets, and had a Ford truck run right through them.
Well, I'm not talking about people like obviously of committing felonies by almost murdering people, but what I'm saying is there was just recently, not too recently, but I think it was I feel like it was Nevada. It was near a reservation, and the reservation police, well, you know how they are. um,
Mm,
yeah, so
they make their own rules.
they came in with trucks and literally rammed the blockade they did,
Hmm.
and then they arrested everyone that was blocking the roads, which I think honestly I don't think that's necessarily the wrong way to do it because these people are
Well,
jeopardizing people's lives. Because what if you have a medical emergency?
well, that's what I was about to say right there. That's exactly what I was about to say. What if what if Meemaw, right, uh, has a heart attack or stroke or falls down and shatters a hip, right?
Okay, here's more
Uh,
specific for Nevada, right? It's hot out there. What if someone's
what if there's a fire?
a
What if somebody
fire?
has a heat stroke?
Yep, exactly.
There's many medical emergencies that could be
It was
happening, and
Burning
whenever.
Man. That's what it was. It was the Burning Man protests.
Mm,
Yes, there we go. Sorry, it just came to me.
okay,
So what happened was a lot of people were protesting Burning Man because the smoke and all that, all that crap. Um,
right.
but yeah, they apparently like blocked it and forced a couple thousand people to just wait. But yeah, eventually the res police came in and just kind of shut that down. Their whole blockade thing. They chained themselves to like trailers and stuff. It was very stupid. Uh, but besides the
Extremely.
right, but alas, it's the wrong way to go about this. You're only creating more people that are hating your cause, and um, I'd venture to say, you're jeopardizing people's lives. If it was me and someone got hurt because of this, like there was someone that had a heart attack and then the ambulance is going to get to them because of this, I would absolutely charge every one of those people with involuntary manslaughter if the person died. I don't think that's not
I
justified whatsoever.
I feel like that's a hard thing to do, but definitely as a family member,
Uh,
if one of my loved ones passed away due to protests not allowing
an
EMS
ambulance,
workers or
yeah.
something like that to get through, I would definitely look into pursuing a wrongful death suit
Yeah.
against the people that was out there. Um, which no amount of money
Of
can bring
course.
a lost loved one back.
Yeah.
but there has to be consequences for actions. And
Exactly.
I am a big believer in all of our rights: the right to assemble, the right to protest, the right the right to free speech, um, the right to bear arms, all of them. All right, all the way across the board. But at the same time, I think that all of these rights should be practiced with some common sense. All right, and
Yeah, with great
common
power comes great
sense,
responsibility, right?
right? So says
Peter Parker's
Uncle.
uncle.
Yeah, I can't remember what his uncle's name was off the top of my head at the moment, but yeah, Peter Parker's uncle. Um, so yeah, if you're not going to practice common sense, then you know uh, things are fair play. There are other ways, I'm sure. Protest, um, blocking the streets probably isn't one of them.
Not to mention, we
Um,
talked about it in a previous episode, I think, where people were slashing people's tires. Remember that?
mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
that's also destruction of property. That is not. Mm-mm. Not only is that illegal, guys, that is definitely not how you send a good message at all.
No, you're gonna have people start looking at you like you're a terrorist or something.
That's exactly
So
pretty much what they're doing. Yeah, they're inflicting terror. But alas, next little tech news here. Recently, there's been a bout of problems with Intel CPUs, and I have a Tom's Hardware article pulled up here to kind of elaborate.
well,
But
I don't think that it's not really Intel CPUs. It's their the motherboards that they're
yeah,
putting
I was
into.
gonna get to that. Um, so it's specifically in regard to 600, 700 series motherboard manufacturers. Um, and it's essentially arising when they disable the thermal and power protections to achieve like super high overclocks. Um,
Which, by the way, I'm we're
Gotta cut
both
me
tech
off.
guys.
Yep.
We're both tech guys. We love overclocking stuff like that.
Yep.
But these motherboards, by default, their default setting
Hmm.
is to have this maxed out with no power limit. All the limits are disabled and stuff, so it's shortening the lifespan of these CPUs and stuff like that, bringing up the thermals real high. But my bad. Again, go ahead.
It's all good. So, Intel out of the gate, right? When it sends BIOS profiles and stuff to people, there is a safeguard enabled where it will have essentially a thermal and power protection limit. Um, and I'm guessing just because AMD has kind of been there close to Intel, and Intel really wants to always be ahead of AMD. Um, I guess the motherboard manufacturers kind of are incentivized to keep pushing the limit. And with the recent kind of bout of updates to motherboard manufacturers in regards to the 600, 700 series motherboards, they've completely disabled the thermal and power protection, which has resulted in the chips running a lot hotter than they normally would, um, and sucking up a lot more power than they normally would. So, for example, I'm just gonna pull up like a 12400K, right? Non-KS. So the K, I think maximum should be pulling around 250, 258 watts. Whereas, yep, just finish the sentence. Whereas as with this update, it goes all the way up to like 353, 358 watts of power that it's pulling. And the temps are oh, sorry, and it's only for the i9s. Let me reiterate that. It's the top i9 SKU. Um, but
So for the i9 13900 and
right,
14900,
right, yeah,
anything below that does not have this issue.
yeah, and the reason they're doing that is because this is Intel's top gaming slash like
Workspace.
works. Is it workspace? Sure, workspace
Yeah.
CPU. Um, consumer CPU. There we go. It's their
Yeah.
top consumer CPU SKU. So that's what they're trying to push it to where it's always above AMD's and stuff like that. But yeah, disabling
So
this. Sorry, go ahead.
So I experienced this myself, right?
Mm. Oh yeah, you
I've
have
had
the what do you have?
I've had the i9 13900K,
Mm-hmm.
and even the 12900s are also on this cusp of doing this. It's not as bad as the 13 and 14s, but the 12s are doing it as well because the 12s are on the 600 and 700 series motherboards. So I was noticing that in games and stuff, like I'm like, wow, because I've been playing using computers as my main gaming machine for quite a while,
Mm-hmm.
and I've never seen temps like this, man. Like these temps were insane. I'm looking at, with a 360 AIO playing just Call of Duty, I'm reaching, mid 70s in temps and stuff. So I'm like, what in the world's going on? Well, then I started doing some investigations into my BIOS and stuff like that, and noticed that the power limits were maxed. None, all of them were maxed out. It could draw as much power as it wanted or could pull safely from the power supply. So I, looked up what the limits that Intel has set, and I just set all my stuff down to that. Of course, my XMP is enabled, my RAM and everything. I'm still getting those speeds, and to be honest, you really don't see that much of a difference. I'm still pulling 5.6 clock speeds.
Gigahertz.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, 5.6 gigahertz on my main cores, and then on my uh, efficiency cores, I believe it's 4.6. Hold on, let me just check that real quick.
Well, while you check that, I also want to iterate that, you know, um, so the temp limit essentially and the power limits were, and when they say disabled, it's not technically disabled, just because it's it's an 8-bit or whatever. It's 4095 because if they did 4096, it would round robin and it would essentially mean that was zero. But
Right.
regardless, it's never going to pull that much. There is a power to clock graph, and then there's also a curve they call it, and then there's a clock to temperature curve. So it's not like your CPU is going to murder itself instantly, right? It's not going to go to like 1,000 watts and then go
Right.
to 10 gigahertz. It's not going to do that. But the reason it's so unstable is because it's essentially it's going to the very very edge of stability, where it'll give you like a nice. I mean, it will improve your synthetic scores if you're doing like benchmark or what Cinebench, excuse me.
Cinebench.
Yeah, it'll improve it. It's almost like doing a very bad overclock because you're giving it too much power for the clocks, and then it's also unstable. So that's why you're seeing your game probably was stuttering too if you were playing. I'm assuming, and it was so hot. It was running so hot. You're just yeah. I mean, you're running.
I was getting weird little stutters here and there.
Mhm.
It wasn't huge or anything. It was mainly just like, it's where I noticed it was I was playing. Matter of fact, I was playing Anno whenever after I'd upgraded and
Anno
everything.
1800. Mhm.
A few months later, I re-downloaded Anno. I started playing Anno again, and prior to this upgrade,
Update, you mean?
whenever upgrade,
Oh, you played
because
on
I
different
upgraded from the
hardware.
t- I play
Mm.
I upgraded from the 10900
Oh, okay.
to the 13900. So
Okay.
with the
Yeah.
10900, while playing Anno 1800,
Mhm.
I could watch, YouTube, Netflix, whatever, and that's normally what I did. I would have like YouTube or Netflix over on my secondary monitor
Yeah.
and play Anno over here. And is what I noticed was, I'm playing Anno, and then all of a sudden YouTube would start like glitching out, or Netflix would start glitching out, as far as like it would get real slow and stuttery,
Mm.
or sometimes the image would freeze, but I could still hear the audio.
Okay.
So that's what got me to start checking the temps and stuff, like what's going on. And for the longest time, I couldn't really figure it out. And then I went over to Call of Duty and was watching temps there as well. And it's all like, why the hell is Call of Duty making the CPU temps go up. So that's what got me to do more of a deep dive. But my with everything back to the Intel's limits, I'm getting 5.6 on my P cores. I'm getting 4.3 on my E cores. I know that it's supposed to be like 4.4,
Yeah,
but
they'll change. Yeah.
I've had this processor for a couple years now. It's probably a little bit of degradation, a lot, you know,
So
whatever.
the reason actually, it's I'm glad you brought up the whole freezing thing with your YouTube or Netflix and stuff. There's a lot of people that are having an issue where it would say that their video was out of memory. So at
Yes,
first, a lot of people thought it was a GPU issue,
I
and
thought
then
it was too.
yeah, and Nvidia had to put out a statement about that. So I'm not actually too knowledgeable on why that exactly happens when this is a CPU issue. I think it's something to do with maybe like the frame processing because the CPU still has to process that. I'm not entirely sure. Um, but Chrome, for example, has hardware acceleration, so it will actually use your GPU sometimes to render videos, and that's probably why you're hearing the audio fine, but your video is completely frozen. In addition, the temps are insane. Like you said, you're water cooled, so you have a
Mhm.
big 360 radiator, and you're not. I mean, Anno is CPU intensive, obviously, because it's an RTS. It is going to
But it's
use your
not
CPU.
that it's not that bad.
Right, it's not gonna run that hot, and then Call of Duty you said was running at 80 degrees.
Almost. Yeah, it was pushing anywhere between 75 to 78 degrees.
Yeah, and Call of
Um
Duty is not at all CPU intensive. It'll barely eat up your CPU, barely. I mean,
whereas my
hmm
GPU is mid 60s, some spikes to almost 70 degrees, like I'd see 68, maybe 69
yeah, and you're
sometimes.
on an air cooled card. You're not on water cooled.
Air cooled card,
Hmm
so I'm all like, wait a minute, this is not right.
hmm
Something's definitely not right, so I had to do some digging, and it took me a little bit, but once I got into the BIOS and stuff and really started looking around in there and looking at the CPU settings and stuff, I noticed it, and I was like, wait a minute, like, this is like somebody went in and tried to put an overclock, and I've never done that. So, like I said, I reset everything back down to what it was supposed to be, and my temps are back in check. I haven't lost any performance, honestly. So I
Yeah,
don't
that's something
understand.
that I kind of want to also kind of elaborate on is the performance part. The reason they did all this is actually more. It's kind of disingenuous because you would think it's supposed to be like giving you tons more FPS and all that, right? But it's actually really not. It's more meant for like a very high stress short load, and that's why
Hmm.
the Cinebench scores were getting a bit higher. But your game
Yeah, I
performance,
did. I did lose in Cinebench. I think I lost like maybe 300 points in Cinebench. It
Jay's
wasn't
2 cents,
much.
for example, lost I think 1,000 or so or 2,000 points. But the point being is that score would have lowered even more anyway if you kept looping the test because it gets so hot.
Well, Jay does that anyways. He loops. He never goes off of the first
Yeah, no,
test.
he was just showcasing this problem. That's why I said the first
Yeah,
test was so high. And
yeah.
this is more for like just it's a boost to benchmarking. It's not really going to help you with gaming, and in fact, it's exactly doing the opposite. It's actually hurting people in gaming because it is really like an unoptimized overclock. It's like a very rushed poor overclock because you're pushing so much voltage in to achieve that. Where if you lower the voltage and optimize, if you optimize the uh, if you optimize the voltage and the hertz to where it's not unstable, you'll get a lot better experience overall. Sure, you might lose a little bit of score, but Cinebench is fully synthetic, guys. Your Cinebench score is not going to reflect on your in-game performance and stuff like that. It is
Mhm.
completely fully synthetic. Um, Intel and AMD both agree on this. It's purely a synthetic benchmark. Real workloads do not reflect it. So I wouldn't.
But it is a good test just to see if like your overclock, or if you do an overclock, or if you're just trying to test the stability of your system.
Mhm.
It is a good test to do, because that's going to tell you in any other real world scenario, because Cinebench is so intensive. In any other real world scenario, your computer is going to be fine.
Yeah.
It's not going to crash or anything like that. So it does have its merits for you to use, but it's that program is going to stress your system out more than anything else you do, unless you're doing like huge video edits and stuff like
Even
that.
video edits won't push it that badly because with the codexes and all that in today's world, they're a lot more
Well,
efficient and stuff like that.
what about like Maya projects and stuff like that?
With Maya stuff, they have GPU rendering as in addition to CPU rendering, so you can choose to
Okay.
not even use the CPU if you wanted to. And then Manta Ray exists, which is a server load, like server farm load, if you will, where it disperses the load over a number of computers. If you're in a scenario where you're needing to render something for hours on end, then you're probably gonna be using Manta Ray, whatever it's called, to in a professional production environment to disperse the load. But that's
Oh,
like
there you
super
go.
specific, right?
Mhm.
I think this is purely just to kind of inflate the scores a little bit and like show that it's a little better, but in the end, it does hurt the end user. So what Tom's Hardware is recommending, and Intel edition, is it's urging people to use the default BIOS settings, so it re-enables these limits, so you're not potentially damaging your chip over time.
CPU. Yep.
Sorry, your CPU. Now, in terms of how scared you should be, this isn't something that's going to nuke your CPU. Really, the only major concern with people is over time you are reducing the lifespan of your CPU more quickly, because you're heating it so much more than it normally would. But it's not like you're gonna turn it on the first boot and it's gonna instantly evaporate. That's not what's gonna happen. Like I said, there's still you still have your temperature to voltage curves. You have your hertz to temperature curves. So there's still like things it'll do. But if you want to prolong your CPU and you don't have a ton of money to sink into another one soon, I'd probably go and like Twiz said, just revert these safety measures, re-enable them, go back to your default profiles. Um, that way, after this is addressed, you can update your motherboard's BIOS to the version that has the fix for it, and you should be okay. Anything else you want to add
Mhm.
on to that, Twiz?
Mm-mm.
Alrighty. And then some big drama here. Escape from Tarkov. That's a game. It's a extraction shooter game. It's actually kind of a unique game because there's not really nothing like it per se. It is pretty niche and niche in the sense that it's very unique. But Twiz, you've been following this. What's going on with Escape from Tarkov here?
So basically, is what they've done is, and normally this news would be widely accepted by a user base, but so they created a PVE mode that you progress. You're constantly progressing in it, so that's all great.
Mm-hmm.
But they did do an announcement. So all right, the original Escape from Tarkov game was 100 and I believe it was $150.
Are you talking about the EOD edition?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah, the
150.
Escape from Darkness,
Mm-hmm. That's 150.
$150. All right. So if you have that, if you have the EOD edition, right, you're gonna get access to the PVE mode for 6 months only. If you want access to the PVE mode, definitely, you have to pay $250 for the game. So this is what has everyone up in arms.
That's the new edition they brought out. What is it called? I don't remember what the name of
Uh,
that edition's called, but it's
oh,
$250.
it's called Edge of Darkness. I'm sorry.
Oh,
The
that's the
original.
EOD edition.
Yeah, that's EOD is Edge of Darkness. Let's see. So whenever you bought the EOD edition, you're supposed to receive all DLCs for free. And is what they've done, okay, is to circumvent them not giving this to you for free, for them to dig further into your pockets. They're now saying that this is not a DLC, even though it's the exact same game, just with a PvE mode.
Wow.
All right. So they're trying to market it as a new feature instead of a DLC. So it doesn't count as a DLC. So
Mm.
basically, is what they're saying is Battle State Games claiming that the PvE mode is not, in fact, DLC and is instead a feature, so it doesn't count. All right. Um, I, I personally think that this is egregious as hell. This is honestly worse than what Call of Duty did with Modern Warfare 3. Being
So
that
I have the website pulled up just to kind of show viewers here. There's a few different editions of this game, and this game is not fully released yet. I think it's still early access, I believe. So there is the standard edition, which is $50, and what it says is it gains guaranteed instant access to closed beta, and then you get something called basic stash, 10 by 28 cells, um, and that's it. Then
now I have. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, above that is the Left Behind edition, which is $82. And that gives you, again, everything with the normal one. And then this gives you 10 by 38 stash thing. I think that's the inventory. And then above that is the Prepare for Escape edition. Gives you everything before, and then this time it gives you 10 by 48. And it says initially good standing with all in-game traders.
Yep.
And then is the big boy. That's the top edition, which is the Unheard edition. Oh, okay. So it's not EOD. It's called the Unheard edition. Is the $250 one. That gives you everything from
well,
before.
EOD was the original $150. This is the game.
Yeah, they don't
You
sell that
get
anymore. So
everything
that was
with
a
it.
limited thing, I guess, because it's not.
Right.
It's no longer on the website.
It's what I bought. It's what I bought.
Oh, you
And
bought it? Okay.
we were promised, right?
All
We were
DLC.
literally promised a DLC that was coming with it and any DLCs after. We still haven't seen the first fucking DLC. And they're pulling this.
Yep, and not to cut you off, I just want to read what's on the $250 one they're saying here. So you get everything from before, and they actually, it's a separate bullet point. It says access to PvE co-op mode with persistent progression. Progression will not be reset with wipes. And then you get 10 by 72 stash size. You get a unique in-game ID. Expanded PMC pockets, increased fence standing, more slots in the free market, unique in-game melee weapon. Increased mail retention time, additional background screen options, and free access to all subsequent DLCs. In quotation, they have season pass. Oops. And then access to early test servers.
But they said the same thing with the EOD edition. And now they're reneging on that and wanting people to go back and pay $250 for the same promises, because we were promised the same thing with the EOD edition along with the season pass and all subsequent DLCs.
Yeah, to me that's very scummy. That's like it reeks of a scam.
Well, and this right here, is what's going. To be honest, with because this is a Russian
Developer.
developer,
Yeah.
right? I don't know if it's just a Russian. They're not national.
No,
or
they are
whatever.
Russian. Like it's based in Russia.
So it's based from Russia. Well, this right here just kind of opens the door for our lawmakers and government to come in and be all like, okay, well, guess what? You can't do business here in the American market because you've made promises that you're not going to keep. And unfortunately, these are the sort of issues that we're starting to have to deal with as markets get bigger and bigger and stuff like that. So you just got to kind of keep your eye out. I honestly thought that these developers would be good developers. I'm not saying that their game is horrible. They've only really had one issue, and that was back whenever uh, they had a cheating problem, which they did correct. And after that, you haven't really heard too much of an issue
Yeah.
out of this development until now, and now they're digging into your pockets for even more money. $250 for one game is
150, let alone,
egregious.
is kind of crazy.
150 is insanity. Um, but that whenever they were asking for 150, the American economy was doing a little bit better than it is today. The reason why I bought it is I bought it while we were in the midst of COVID. So that was the whole reason why I purchased it, was because, like, you know, I'm looking for something to get my mind off of everything and kind of entertain myself. And
And
so
you've
yeah,
you've played it, have you not?
yeah.
Okay, so
Uh,
you can attest to this personally. I mean, I've heard from people that play it. It is a pretty
I've got about
niche.
600. I've got about 600 hours into it.
Oh wow, I've heard from people, and you can kind of enlighten me on this. It is pretty niche. There's not really a
It
lot of
is
games like it. It's kind of its own thing.
right. Yeah, it definitely is. It's fun. It is. It's a looter shooter extraction is what it
And it's
is.
like super realistic. I've heard the sentiment that, whatever you build your gun out to be like, you could actually go in real life, purchase that gun, and do the same thing to it. Like, that's how
Yep.
realistic it is.
Yeah, and that's all great. I'm not saying that the game is bad. I'm saying that the developers and the producers of this game
It's
is,
Battle State Games, by the way, is
yeah,
the people who developed it.
yeah, Battle State is it feels scammy. We
It's
were
a bait and
promised.
switch.
Yep.
It's your textbook bait and switch.
Yep, and if it was an American company, they would be sued.
I
And
I
this
think what really seals it is they actually went back and edited their website with the version that you bought, even though it's no longer sold, and changed the wording on it. So when that happened, I was like, "Oh, this is kind of fishy. This is extremely fishy." Because they didn't. I mean, the version was no longer sold to begin with. So why would you do that? Why would you update that version's? You know.
personally, I hope it flops. I hope everybody that was playing says, "You know what? We're not buying this."
Mhm.
Right? If you want to continue playing the game, that's fine. Play it in its current state. Play what you've already purchased. Uh, i- if you take any advice from me at all ever, take this advice: do not buy it, because the minute that very few people or no one buys it, they'll turn it right back into a DLC, and at the very least, it'll be like, okay, 20-30 bucks, you can get access to this instead of $250. Um, I it's insanity that we already paid 150 and they want another 250 out of us.
Yeah. There's not a lot of games that I can think of where it costs $150.
If this happens, right? If all the people that purchased the original winds up purchasing the 250, even as egregious as it is, even if they're kicking and screaming all the way through the purchase process,
They'll do it again.
I can promise you, not only will they do it again, but other game developers, American based game developers, our games will shoot up in price. So do not purchase this game.
Fair enough, fair enough. And with our previous podcast episode, I think we talked about how Ubisoft was revoking the crew licenses. Remember that? I mean, this is kind of it's not one to one. It's not apples to apples, but it kind of gives off somewhat the same vibe in the sense that they
Well,
go
yeah,
back on their
because
word.
they went back on their word, they updated their terms of service agreements, and
Yep.
then they snatched your previously purchased what you whenever you purchased that game, you technically owned that game. But now
Right.
that they've switched up their terms
Terms
of
of
service
use or terms of
agreement,
service. Yeah.
you no longer own any of your games. So do with that information what you will, but I think that these companies really need a reality check and need to understand that, hey, we as consumers are out here to purchase our stuff. If you want a $70 price tag on a video game, then we need to own that. If you don't want us to own that, then you need to come up with a affordable subscription plan and a guarantee of how long these games will stay in the library. We need to be informed consumers, not just, oh, here's another subscription. We don't know how long we're going to be able to play this game or watch this TV show or movie or whatever. Because Netflix does the same shit,
Mm,
right? They put movies on and series on,
yeah.
and they'll be on there for a few months, maybe a year or two, and then all of a sudden they're gone. And granted, I get it, we kind of agreed to that at the very beginning with the subscription and their license agreements and stuff like that. But whenever it comes to video games, I think that it's a completely different beast because,
It's not a streaming service.
right.
Mhm. Not to
So,
mention
and
that kind of similar to the Disney Vault thing too.
yeah, yep. You're taking movies off the shelves
IPs, yeah, whole IPs pretty much.
and putting them in your vault for 10, 15 years at a time
Mhm.
just so that you can re-release them at an even more egregious price than what they first released for. I think that that's scummy as well. So like we definitely need to start taking a stance in this, otherwise the video gaming industry is going to be just as unobtainable for your average consumer, much like a lot of other things are getting.
Speaking of other things, I mean, to kind of go into the whole greed thing, us personally recently kind of had a bathroom renovation project we are looking into.
Today,
Today's
today,
today, right?
I got a
Well, no,
quote.
you got a quote as well from before, so we'll go into first school and then we'll kind of go into the second one. But
Well,
so
yeah,
this is not at all tech related, first of all. So let's just kind of preface that. This is more of a real life thing. So you're more in construction and you're more knowledgeable than me in that regards. How many square feet would you say our bathroom that we would like to be renovated is? Kind of like a ballpark estimate. It's pretty small.
40 to 50 square feet,
Yeah,
maybe.
it's a pretty small bathroom. It's 40 to 50. It's more of a like a rectangle shape, and we have.
Guaranteed before this thing was a bathroom, right? It was
Mhm.
probably a pantry because it's off the
Mm.
kitchen.
Okay, yeah, that's a
Okay.
good point. It could have been.
So it was probably a pantry closet. It was
Mhm.
converted into a bathroom with a stand
Now
shower.
it is
Full
a full
bathroom
bathroom,
stand shower.
guys. It's a shower. Then there's a toilet and a sink and then the door. So go
But the
ahead,
door
explain. Mhm.
the door even had to be shaved in a little
Yeah.
bit just so that it could open and pass the sink.
Hmm.
This is how small the room is, right? It's how small this bathroom is. So, um, we purchased the house, we came in, we have two bathrooms. We've got the main, we've got the spare bathroom. This is the spare bathroom, this little tiny closet, pretty much. All right. Our closet is almost bigger than this bathroom. All right. So I took a shower in it, and while I was taking a shower in it, whenever we first purchased the house, I started noticing that the tiles had cracks in them, and I was like, oh shit, this is probably leaking. So once I got out, ran downstairs, uh just to make sure that um the just make sure it wasn't leaking, and it in fact was from those cracks. So I was like, okay, just
So
don't
wait,
use the
what
shower.
material is our shower made out of?
It's tile. It's tile and grout.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay, don't use the shower. We'll fix it later. As we're moving in, just purchase the house. We don't want to deal with all that. So cut to, we're coming into spring, stuff like that. I want to get an idea of what this is going to cost. I know what it should cost. I do know that because the house that I purchased in North Carolina, I replumbed that entire house, put a new bathroom in and everything. I converted an entire bedroom into a bathroom because it was literally a closet was the bathroom for that house. So doing all that, brand new pipes, from one side of the house to the other cost me less than $8,000. Materials, everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I had my uncle who was a plumber and my stepdad and a couple of other construction buddies. My stepdad's in construction, my uncle's in plumbing. Um, but they were all helping, and I paid them. I paid them an hourly wage. I believe it was 15 bucks an hour. Um, and yes, that's low. I get that, but still, cut to here. So the first quote that I received, and this is me purchasing the materials,
Oh,
was
that was you purchasing the material. Okay, wow.
8,500 to have the shower demoed out, the floor demoed out, new subfloor put down, new new floor covering, new shower insert. That's it. 8,500. I'm like,
So this
that's
is excluding any plumbing, right? There's zero plumbing happening here.
zero plumbing because the plumbing is in good condition. It's the shower pan
Oh, that's what's leaking. Okay.
that's leaking.
Yeah.
It's not, no pipes are leaking,
Okay.
right?
So there's like a crack in the tile grout or
The
something.
grout has cracks.
Yeah.
There's cracks all in the grout. It's old,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is why you shouldn't put tile in a bathroom, in a shower. Tile and grout, it's porous. It's going to leak at some point. And when it does, guess what's under that? Wood. What does wood do whenever it gets wet? It fucking rots. That's why you're dumb to put tile in a bathroom. Period. All right. So regardless, 8,500. I'm like, well, I'm gonna get a few more quotes. Cut to today. This man walks into my house, looks at me with a straight face after seeing, okay, because you can literally look at the bottom under the shower and see that there's no rotted wood, nothing like that.
Yeah.
This man looks at me with a straight face. Just the shower replacement. No floor, no nothing like that. Just demoing out the tile and grout, putting up the sheetrock, making it waterproofed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That that's behind the shower,
Oh,
not the
okay.
whole room,
Oh, okay.
just behind the shower. All right, and putting the shower insert back in, an acrylic shower insert, $17,000. Are you people fucking insane? You want to be paid? So an acrylic shower insert should be between no more than $1,100. All right.
So hold on, for people that are watching not familiar with the materials, right? So what options do we have, and on the scale of those, where does acrylic land?
You have vinyl. All right. And vinyl is what you're going to find in like old trailers. Okay.
Okay.
Um, you get somebody over 260, 280, it's going to crack the bottom of that if they're at all not like tippy
So
toeing
is it
in.
like plastic?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a like a hard vinyl plastic. So you got vinyl, that's your bottom tier. Then you got acrylic. All right. It's better than vinyl, but it's still low tier, you have some that looks really good and stuff like that. So it's fine. Then you have tile, which a lot of companies are moving away from. A lot of companies they'll do it, but they'll tell you, we're not going to guarantee this work. We're not going to give you a warranty because it's tile and grout.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's going to leak. You've got cultured marble, and then you've got like granite, and you've got actual marble. That's the top, the echelon of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
So
So we're
for
we're
just
pretty
the
affordable on the totem pole right now with acrylic.
yeah, yeah, with acrylic. All right. So for just the acrylic shower insert and the backing, the
Mm-hmm.
sheetrock, that whenever you demo this fucking tile out, you're going to have to replace the sheetrock because it's adhered to the sheetrock. So
Yeah.
you're going to be putting holes. So whenever you get the tile out, you got to replace the sheetrock. That's no problem for a 4x8, we would probably gonna need like 4, let's say 6 pieces. Okay. Drywall.
And this is all waterproof drywall, right?
So you can get the mold and mildew resistant drywall, and then you can get what they call like it's called pink stuff or whatever, and you roll it on like paint,
Oh, I
let it
see.
dry,
Mm-hmm.
and it creates a moisture barrier, which, whatever. Okay, let's see. Mold and mildew.
So while you're looking all that up, so we kind of were
Okay, so
okay. Never
for
mind.
mold and mildew resistant drywall,
Yeah.
we're gonna need, let's say we're gonna need 6 pieces.
Okay.
$20 a pop. It's actually $18.20 or 28 cents. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
let's just round it up to $20 a pop. You're looking at 120 for that.
Yep.
And for the acrylic shower that this man showed me is the same one that they sell at Lowe's for, because I just seen it the other day.
So I also like to preface, this person did mention that they do their own in-house acrylic, right? So that's first lie right there, the fact that you just found it at Lowe's.
Mm-hmm.
So
So the acrylic shower that is at Lowe's,
yep.
that he showed me,
Mm-hmm.
is $950. Let's say with tax, that bumps it to $1,050. Hell, fuck it, say $1,100. So you're literally looking at $1,220 in materials.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
So, all right, let's do a little math here. So from 17,000, okay, let's take off 1,300.
15,800 is what he's charging you for labor. So divide that by how many days? He said in a day and a half of work.
It would be a day to a day and a half of work.
So let's say 2 8-hour days of work, just to be generous. Okay.
Well, let's say 2 12-hour days of work. 'Cause most of the time, contractors and shit, they'll work.
So he's
They
charging
work
you
10, 12 hours.
$659 an hour for labor. So I mean, I don't know about you guys. I'm not the biggest pro when it comes to construction rates and all that, but I feel like you guys should not be going to be a a rocket scientist working at Google, being a CEO, because these guys are making more hourly than a brain surgeon, a rocket scientist, and probably a software developer combined at that rate.
Dead ass. Dead ass.
Yeah, I mean, I just in today's economy, especially, the fact that you're asking that much is insanity to me.
Well, not only that, you want 17,000, right? Okay. Now I know a person that just got a roof put on their house. 20 or place is 2,400 square feet. 2,400 square foot roof put on her house for $26,000. You're telling me you're 11,000 under an entire roof for an entire house
For a
Bitch,
40
you-
square foot bathroom.
you are out of your fucking mind. For a bathroom, literally, it is the guest bathroom. We don't have guests constantly in this house. So this bathroom is probably going to see on the high end, the highest of the high end, maybe 10 hours of action a year. And you want $17,000. An average family, an average person to do their business in the bathroom, shave, shower,
I don't think we need to get into the specifics, but keep going.
brush your teeth. The average person spends in a week in the bathroom maybe an hour and 20 minutes, hour and a half, per day.
Oh, per day, okay.
So you're looking at like 10, 11 hours, 12 hours a week in this bathroom.
And yeah.
So then he laughs at me whenever I tell him, yeah, that's too expensive. No thanks. Pretty much go F yourself. There's the door. he kind of chuckles and he's all like, "Oh, I hear that you have a southern accent, so let me educate you on the prices uh here in the Midwest for a bathroom remodel." Now, we ain't even talking about a full bathroom remodel. Whenever you tell me a bathroom remodel, the toilet that's in there better be a new one. The sink that's in there, they better be a new one. There better be new paint on the walls and the ceiling. There better be new flooring. No, no, no. This man is calling a shower replacement a whole remodel. So he tells me for a bathroom remodel here in the Midwest, average is about $25,000. Well, hell, at this point, I should go back to school and get a damn plumber's license
Yeah.
because I'm shit. All my life, I'm in the wrong damn field. And then you're going to tell me that you're 6 to 8 weeks out. So if I would have accepted this, I'd wait six to
Over a
eight
month.
weeks because almost
Almost 2 months, yeah.
almost 2 months or 2 months. I'd be waiting that long because you've got that much work. This company has that much work. Like, bruh, who the fuck's paying for who's paying $17,000 for a shower replacement, a shower insert? Who's got that kind?
At that money, honestly, I would be expecting like full granite or like real marble, full like rain shower, everything.
No, this this
Like
man this man said acrylic. And to be honest, I think he did that. I think that he hit me with that sort of egregious price because as soon as he walked through my door, he immediately started saying how nice the house is, that it's in a good area, this and that and the other. And, as we walk down here, my office is in the basement. As we walk into the basement, he sees my rig and he's all like, "Oh, well, that must have cost," and this is pre giving me the quote. "Oh, well, that must have cost a good amount and this and that and the other." And it's all like, look, I shouldn't have to worry about a company coming to my home that is potentially going to do work. I shouldn't have to worry if they're going to upcharge me because of the location of my house, where it's at,
and what do you have in it?
and what I have in it.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to throw sheets over my shit
Right.
so that I don't get overcharged. And I'm hoping that that's what happened for real,
Because
because
17 is absurd.
if that's truly the going rate, 10 is absurd. 8,500 is absurd for the little bit of work that we're asking for. Uh,
Guys, just so you know, I mean, if someone wanted to take this on like as a weekend project, this should probably take 2 days for someone that's inexperienced.
yeah,
Maybe 3.
yeah. For
So you're
for
talking about a professional company that does this for a living is saying
for a
it's going to take them two
professional
days.
for a professional, if they come out with 3 people, okay, let's say they come out with 3 people,
Yeah.
and all 3 of them do the demo. Okay, after the demo is done and cleaned up, 2 of them could go home. Literally, that's all they would be needed for is the demo. That's about 3 hours of
And
work.
that's the cheapest part. The demo the dude said was $140.
Yep, yep. So two of the people that are working on the demo could literally go home. All right, and then that one person could finish this job within about 3 hours, realistically, because it's literally the the drywall that is going back up is going behind the shower, so you really don't have to mud that, especially if you're using the pink stuff.
Hmm.
I mean, you can, sure, once you mud it, you're gonna have to leave and then come back the
It's
next
waiting.
day
It's waiting work, right? It's just waiting for
to
right.
dry. Right. So
Yeah.
really, even okay, let's say they mud, they leave, right? You've got at this point, you've got probably 4 hours into it, 4 work hours into it.
Yeah.
You come back the next day, you can finish it within 3 to 4 hours. So that is a day of work. 1 day of work. You want over $15,000 for 1 day of work? You're out your fucking mind. You're out of your mind.
And like I said, guys, I'm not exaggerating. Twiz here has done a lot of construction projects and stuff, and his stepdad is was a construction worker. So when he says a novice, someone that's going on YouTube to do this, could do himself in 2 days, maybe 3, pushing it. A company should have this done, like you said, within 4 hours, 5 hours, especially because they have the tools.
3 days. 3 days if you fuck up and make a big oopsie.
Well, I'm
and
also
even your biggest oopsie, you can make your biggest oopsie 5 times over and still never reach anywhere near that price.
And I'm also like kind of, like I'm maybe saying like maybe the person didn't have the tools, so in the middle of it they had to go get tools and stuff like
12
that.
trips to Lowe's. Yeah.
Right. So this isn't like a month-long project. You're not redoing your house or anything. It's literally as simple as breaking tile, sweeping it up and cleaning it, and then inserting drywall, which is I think
much
screws and
pretty much if we did it ourselves, right? Which is probably what's going to happen. If we did it ourselves, we could have this project done for no more than, and this is including any kind of oopsies, even big oopsies. We could have this project done for $1,500. Done. And that's even with new floor coverings. $1,500. Yeah.
Now, I would also like to point out this company did include some sort of warranty, I think.
A lifetime warranty, but to be honest,
the amount you're paying them, you could destroy the bathroom 4 times over and still not 5 times over and still not reach the price they're asking for. So it's kind of like,
okay, so at $1,500, right?
Yeah.
So at $1,500, hold up.
7 times over.
Yeah, I could do it 7 times over. I could destroy that bathroom. Literally, I could put a sledgehammer through it 7 times.
Yeah.
Before I have reached $15,000. All right. Most people, once they get a fucking shower put in and it's installed correctly and it's not grout and tile or tile and grout, guess what?
That's it.
That's it. You're not replacing it. That's why they can give you a lifetime warranty, because they know damn well you're not going to destroy it.
That's true. That's very true.
You'll never cash in on it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's egregious. And, I kind of want to delve into yet another egregious experience that we talked about last podcast, our solar panel thing. So we do have some updates we want to talk about with that. So since last time that we've spoken about our solar panel debacle, so I believe we left it at we were waiting on the inspector, and then
No.
Okay, where did we leave it at?
So basically, we were waiting for the company to be able to get a hold of the inspector to see if a different route, a different approach would work to mitigate them having to put in a main panel upgrade.
Okay.
Well, apparently they got a hold of him. He was confused. Okay. And this other way that they did it will work. Apparently. So they sent the electrician out again. The electrician came out. He did his thing. Great dude. A1 guy. He's a real good dude. He did his thing. Now we're waiting on the inspector to come and do the inspection. I personally have a feeling that the inspector is going to fail it again. Personally.
So I'd also like to kind of point out here, we thought, and this is speculation, obviously this is speculatory, so I'm not gonna say this is factual or not, but I feel like some pocket.
Say it right now.
Okay, fine. All right, we'll see it later on. But if it does fail inspection again, I do think that they've said that they are going to cover a whatever the remedy needs to be. Whether it be a main panel upgrade or
It'll have to be a main panel upgrade, but yeah.
whatever it is. Yeah.
And this, I will give you the best piece of advice that I can possibly give you whenever it comes to any work that's being done on your home, whether that be electricity, plumbing, anything. And
Document everything.
this even goes with like your cell phone provider, your internet provider, all of that. Anytime you're on the phone with them, you make sure that you record the conversation, because a lot of these sales reps, a lot of these retention people to keep your business, like, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, Xfinity, whatever internet service you have, whatever TV service you have, a lot of them will lie to you. And
Yeah.
they'll tell you, oh, we're going to give you this discount, and we're going to go ahead and credit the account for the discount for this month, and they will give you that credit. But the very following month, 9 times out of 10, your bill is right back where it was. You're back on the phone, and you're even more angry because you were lied to. And there is no way to prove that, even though they say that the calls are recorded. 9 times out of 10, these people are not going to look up those calls. So you need to be recording those calls yourself. Once you call a company and they say that the call is recorded, they have already given you permission to record them. All right.
Most states are a one.
Correct.
Yeah, most states are one
But
party
if you
consent.
but if
Um,
you live in a state that is two-party consent, as soon as because it's going to be automated, or they're going to get on the phone and they're going to inform you that the call is being recorded. Well, guess what? You don't even have to tell them that you're recording the call anymore, because they've already consented to being recorded. Okay. Just like you're to continue the call, you consent to be recorded. All right. So make sure that you record your calls. Make sure that literally I have on my iPad, I have handwritten
yeah, document
every
it all.
single every single communication, the date, the time, what was said, anytime somebody's came out here, what was done, the date and time on that, the person's name, everything. Uh, you document everything. That way, if somebody tries to lie, or somebody did lie to you and you say, no, this is what I was told, it's no longer your word against theirs. It is their own fucking word against them.
And I hate to kind of be like this, but in this day and age, it is almost impossible, if not impossible, to find honest work. And you really do need to build your case as you're going through with these companies. Because if worse comes to worse, you do need to seek legal action. And your case is already made if you've been documenting it the whole time.
the
Because
the easier you can make it for the lawyer, guess
the
what?
less
The
money it's
less
going to
you're
cost
gonna
them.
pay the lawyer.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. And it sucks that we live in a world like that, but unfortunately that's just reality right now. And had we known it's going to be this much of a headache, I feel like we probably wouldn't have done this. But
Well, and now I will say this on the behalf of the solar company. All right. Even the electrician that is contracted, he doesn't work for them. He is contracted
mhm,
from his company to come and do this electrical work for them. He has said that he has been contracted for this company for a very long time, for many years.
mhm,
He said normally this does not happen.
mm,
He said that we are a rarity. He said, but once something like this happens, it gets pretty messed up. And I think is where we kind of biffed it, would be when we signed up for solar. We were It was winter, right? And we were supposed to have the install done in December. December came and went, January came and went, February 1st came, I called to find out what was going on.
yeah,
They hadn't sent their inspection team out here to figure out exactly what was needed.
mhm,
And I think me doing that call to find out what was going on, it kind of, perhaps the person that took my call, or the person in whatever department, scheduling or whatever, kind of missed that the inspection hadn't taken place, and went
mm.
ahead and sent out the crew to install.
Ah, okay.
So the install was done
With no inspection.
and the inspection wasn't done. And I thought that the inspection was pretty much done the day of install, and it wasn't. And the loan went through and everything like that for, everything was signed and I signed off and all of that stuff. And there it is. They missed, hey, we should just go ahead and replace this panel. That way we can get this done as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now we're in all of the work that they have done putting these on is good work. It's one thing that was missed, and now they're trying to circumvent it that way they don't lose money because they know I'm not paying out of pocket for it.
And by the way, we shouldn't. This is absolutely not our fault. This is 100% on them.
They fumbled.
They fumbled. There is a reason we're not disclosing the name and giving specifics. It's because they have time to rectify this. But if they do not, absolutely, we will be disclosing who this is. We will post a whole video, probably of a review of our whole experience with this. Because it should be a warning to other potential customers of the.
And if they do right by us, we'll still put out a video of the experience and everything like that. But just know that video will be a lot better in contrast to if they don't rectify this. And it's not a veiled threat or anything like that.
No, not at all.
At the end of the day, I'm a consumer and I'm going to give my opinion / review, okay, of whatever company does whatever, work at my home, or if it was on my car or anything else, I would do the same thing. So it's not a you do this or I'm going to do that. It's, hey, there's a video going to come out regardless. It's however you want the pendulum to swing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so far I do feel like it's a little bit of a game of cat and mouse, or perhaps even them chasing their own tail sort of thing. We have been given the ring around a few times, and hopefully things are starting to kind of straighten themselves out. If not, there is going to be more to come, but that's pretty much our update right now. We're just waiting to see the inspector's opinion. That's really what everything's hinging on right now. We haven't gotten to turn on the solar panels once yet, so that's right. Yeah, we haven't even.
But now when we do, things will be great.
Oh yeah, it'll be fantastic, right? They've done all this work, and it is kind of like it's a sucky situation because they've done all this work, and this work has been completed for months now. I mean, they finished it January, I think. February. So it's been a few months now. So
it's been 2 months, almost 3.
Almost 3 and, that we couldn't. We cannot turn it on.
There's been some beautiful days.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful days that we could have really used
that solar, right?
That solar, that energy that we could have harvested, and unfortunately we haven't been able to. And that's the thing is, I'm tired of waiting. This project was, whenever we signed on, the inspector was supposed to come out mid-December. By the end of December, the installation was supposed to be done. Beginning of January, the inspector was supposed to come out, and if there was any issues by February, the solar panels were supposed to be on. Well, guess what? The installation didn't even happen until February.
So basically, thankfully they've said they're going to be paying the months that we cannot use it. That's their fault. They're going to be paying those months out of their pocket. We'll see how that goes, if that's true or not. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, not the best experience so far. It is what it is, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll keep you guys updated. Next update or next podcast, I think we should have heard from the inspector. No, okay. Whatever.
The one after that.
Okay, so whenever we do, we'll give a little tidbit on the podcast, and we'll give you guys an update. And if that's the end of it, we'll kind of start prepping for our overall review video. But yeah, to end it off, there's actually another video coming out here soon as well. Be on the lookout. It's going to be our reaction and rating to the Wolverine and Deadpool trailer. It's been recorded. It just got to be edited, and then it will be uploaded. So keep an eye out for that, guys. And really appreciate you tuning in. For those who did, I saw we had a little bit. No chatters, sadly. But yeah, check us out on Spotify as always. Subscribe, comment, like, hit that notification bell. We really appreciate you guys that are watching. We saw a spike in our viewership on last episode. So to anyone that's new, hello. Thank you for watching, and you guys have a good one. Twiz, you want to say anything?
Nah, just have a good night. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
All right, guys. You guys have a wonderful weekend.